Hello everybody, good evening and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news as we talk Erik ten Hag having to get by with what he's got. No more signings. This is coming in from Fabrizio Romano. There will be no more signings for Erik ten Hag and he will have to make do with what he's got. Will that be enough? We'll be getting into that. Also, Wout Weghorst has had his first training session as a Manchester United player. That can only be good news, especially with the concerns and rumours coming round about Anthony Martial again today. Now, I cannot completely confirm this because it's a Sunday and I'm not 100% sure about the rumour, but we'll talk about Martial. Also want to talk about David De Gea as well. It just seems to me that no matter how much positivity there is around Manchester United, some people just cannot remove their head from their arse and just have to chase negativity all the time. We'll hit that head on. I'm not getting into Twitter conversations about David De Gea, so I don't know why people tag me in it. I'll do it on here where you can see my lips moving and you can get the real context of what I'm talking about. So we'll talk about that as well. Plus, we'll obviously take your opinion. So lots and lots to get in with. Jake off the off is saying that we need more signings, and Revel says green screen's back. Yeah, well, the green screen isn't permanently back. Smash a like on the video if you like the green screen. I will use it sporadically. I use it for watch-alongs mainly because I just think it looks better. But yeah, I was using it for the Arsenal game. So I thought, well, you know what? I want to get live quicker, so let's use that. Before we get into everything, though, please take note of the fact that we are sponsored by Surfshark on this show. What is Surfshark? Well, Surfshark, as I'm sure you're aware, is a virtual private network. One of the best things about Surfshark is their data protection services, making sure my private messages, photos, videos and other sensitive material is protected. But my personal favourite feature of Surfshark, and the thing I think you will like the most, is that you can change your location on Netflix or other location-specific streaming services so you can watch from anywhere in the world. So, for example, if you're in Australia and you want to watch your UK Netflix, you can just change the location to London, even though you're in Australia, on Surfshark, and it will think you're in London. So, very, very good for that sort of thing. You can use Surfshark also across many different devices as you like, even if they're used at the same time. So you can be on your mobile, your laptop, whatever. And it's also available on every device you can think of, from Android, iOS, Linux, Amazon Fire, you know, and get the picture. Surfshark has even more features to offer as well, one of them being alerts. This feature will notify you when your personal information has been leaked online. And because Surfshark are super nice, they are giving you, the United Stand viewers, 83% off and 3 months free when you use the code United Stand. That's right, they're giving away not one, not two, but 3 months free. Link is in the description as always, or you can scan the QR code with your camera phone. 3 months free plus 83% off. And of course, you know, if you've used the VPN before, check out Surfshark. If you haven't, really good. Check it out. Mark's not on the toilet because Mark's live melts. Thankfully, everyone else knows I'm live as well. So yeah, big shout out to Surfshark there. I'm going to whack the league table up because I think some people might just want a little bit of context as to what is happening with the league table. But first of all, let's do this. This is from Fabrizio Romano, and this is what we're talking about as the title of the show. So Man United will not sign more players in January unless Aaron Wan-Bissaka leaves, where they will look to sign a new backup right back. I mean, that's, you know, if you watch the show this morning, it's funny how things change, isn't it? Because ultimately this morning we were talking about the need for new signings, and I think there is a need for new signings. And we also had that quote from Erik ten Hag saying that they're looking for the right players. Fabrizio Romano is saying that Manchester United are not looking to bring any other players in January unless Aaron Wan-Bissaka leaves. And personally, I don't see the point in letting Aaron Wan-Bissaka leave now. He's proven against the league holders, Man City, that he can do a job. And is that not what you want from your backup right back? We know Dalot, well, most of us know that Dalot is our best right back, and Wan-Bissaka is a decent backup right back. So why would you do that? I'd do it in the summer, but why would you do that? No one's going to give us the money we want in January for Aaron Wan-Bissaka anyway. Maybe Dalot's going to keep picking up injuries because he's had a couple already since the World Cup and has played a ridiculous amount of football. So, I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Unless you're going to get someone like Gusto, are you going to get the right back that you want in January? So I wouldn't be moving Wan-Bissaka on anyway, in which case, is that Manchester United closing the transfer window early with a Burnley striker on loan? And when you put it like that, it's not really that good, is it? Fabrizio goes on to say that Ten Hag is happy with the current squad, with the atmosphere at the club, so they don't have a big desire to change things. Well, we know that's not true. We know that's not true because that's just a story from the club. And with all due respect to Fabrizio or James Ducker or any other journalist, they will be receiving information from the club, not directly from Ten Hag. So I will listen to what Ten Hag said directly with his own mouth. And he said at the weekend that Weghorst gives them options and they'd like more options to come in January, but it's about the right players. So Ten Hag definitely, categorically, 100% wants to bring more players in. The club can put it out there that Ten Hag's happy with the squad, which he is, and he's not looking to change things, but that's not right. Ten Hag would love to bring a couple of players in, and that's just where it is. Man United are probably trying to temper expectation that that's going to happen, because to be honest with you, it probably isn't going to happen, is it? But I think it should be happening, and it's interesting because I was watching the Arsenal game, as I'm sure many of you were. I just finished the watch along actually, and Arsenal obviously beating Spurs puts them 8-9 points ahead of us. So what does that do for a title race? Up to you really. But I think Arsenal are in a very similar situation to Manchester United, and I'm not talking about Arsenal. I'm talking about Man United. We've got Palace on Wednesday. I don't care about that Arsenal game at the moment because if we don't beat Palace, forget title or anything like that. And it'd be very hard to get into a title race anyway. But Man City have got to play Arsenal twice. We play them next week. It's not impossible to close a 9-point gap, I suppose. But I think we're both in a very similar situation. And it's weird in a way because Manchester United, we are exceeding expectation. I don't care what anybody says. We are. We're comfortably third with Newcastle. And what I mean by that is we're comfortably top four. We are in a position where we probably didn't expect to be in this position after only 5 months of the season with a new manager and a team that was terrible last year. And I think Arsenal are in the same position. All right, Arteta's been there longer, but they wouldn't expect to be, so comfortable at the top of the league. That's not what Arsenal's expectations were. So you're in this position that you probably didn't expect to be in. And then it comes down to the people above you. This isn't Arteta or Ten Hag's fault or the players or the fans' fault. All eyes really now are on the board. What are you going to do to make this half season become a brilliant season? Because a half season for Arsenal and Man United is really, really good. We're in all the trophies. Technically, some people think we're in a title race, but more importantly, we're comfortable top four, which is what we wanted. What are the club going to do now to do something about that? You contrast that with Chelsea, who are not going to get top four, I don't think, and they're not going to win a trophy, but their owners are desperately buying players from here, there and everywhere. You contrast that with Manchester United, who are in a good position and could only be better if they did strengthen, and then they're going, we're not looking to do anything else in January. We're happy with what we've got. Well, Ten Hag has publicly said he would like to do something, so he's not desperately happy with what he's got. And I don't think there's a United fan out there that would say there's nothing wrong with that squad, we don't need to do anything with it. So we can paper the cracks, we can plaster the wounds, we can do anything we like, but the reality is, if they do nothing, and maybe they're not going to do anything, and this goes wrong in any way, it will be 100% on them. The sad thing is, if things go to plan, the people who are making the decisions now won't be here in the bloody summer anyway. I see absolutely no reason for Richard Arnold to be our CEO when we've got new owners. I see no reason for John Murtagh to be our director of football when we've got new owners. Maybe they will survive, but ultimately, it's them who is going to cost us if we don't do anything in this January transfer window. And the live chat is absolutely awash with options, from Rabiot to Isco to Trossard. There's options there, of course there are. It's the desire to do it. And United just don't seem to have it at the moment. Mark, what do you think about Isco? He is another Madrid player that is for free and would be good backup for Bruno for 5 months, says SI. And Bristol banker Glazers out, says Lillis United. Martial hate is crazy, says G-Man. We're going to talk about that in a minute. You could get Kessie on loan, says Muna. I don't know if the Glazers will sell. The thing is, I was speaking to an agent last week, and they said to me, you don't know. The loan market in January is awash with players. I've used awash twice. I don't think I've ever used it in my life. He said the loan market in January is absolutely swamped. It's swamped. Like, if you think it's hard to sign a player in January, it's not hard to sign people on loan. The reason Spurs got Bentancur and Kulusevski, who were both brilliant signings in January, is because they were loan. You can do loan deals in January that are huge because there are clubs that are looking to shave their wage bill for a bit. Their season's a write-off. They need to save money. They know they're going to be selling that player in the summer, so they need to expand them and get them in the Premier League and get them exposure. Really interesting line. This agent said to me, if you are a club in the continent who's got a player, even if they're a good player for you, but you're not having a good season or you've got financial issues, there is nothing better than giving that player to a Premier League club and letting the world see them. Because even if they don't do fantastically well, they might do okay, which will get them massive exposure for a summer move, which brings money into them. So the loan market in January, you can get really good players. You could get a Rabiot from Juventus. You really, really could. They've got financial issues. You could get a Milinkovic-Savic from Lazio. You could. There are options out there on loan deals. And I mean, whether United will do any of it, I don't know. But there are some good options out there. And many of them you wouldn't even believe. How many points do you think we need to have at the end of the season to be in the top four? Don't think we're in a title race with the squad depth we have, says Aswin. I'd say always safe 73. Weghorst is good, but I really feel next transfer window we really need to go for Osman. He suits United and play style, plus we need another CM, says Finn. But I love Osman. I think he's a fantastic player. Really, really wish we would get him. And if there are no transfers, what are the chances of Ten Hag recalling Ahmad and Mejbri back, says Suradeep. I don't think he really wants to do that. Globetrotter says Eric Ten Hag is making us very attractive for world-class players, and if we finish second with a trophy, I think with new owners, we could have a top summer transfer window, says Globe. And it's all about what we can achieve between now and the end of the transfer window, isn't it? I mean, sorry, now and the end of the season. But I don't want to dwell on it too much, but you have to discuss it because it could be massively impactful on the season we want to have. If all we spend in January is €2.5 million on Weghorst, that ain't backing your manager. And the only thing I will say about this is, because I could talk about it and moan about it, and you know I would, the only thing I will say is, replacing Cristiano Ronaldo with Wout Weghorst, whatever about ability, Cristiano Ronaldo was our star player, and he was our biggest earner. Replacing him with Wout Weghorst is cheap. Forget the players, it's cheap. That word should not be entering the vocabulary of Manchester United when discussing new players to bring in January for a manager who's exceeded expectation. Cheap should not be in the conversation. It's an insult. It's an insult to what Ten Hag's done, and they should be doing more. And I know what Fabrizio's saying, that United aren't planning on doing anything else, but I really hope that that's a smokescreen, because I really do think we need to do something else. It's time to put faith in the kids or go for Depay, says Kyle. Thank you very much for that. And look, what I want to talk about is Martial. Leroy says that Martial is very injury prone. We can't rely on him, and Weghorst just isn't good enough. Well, we haven't seen Weghorst yet, so I'm not going to start having a look at him. Just on Weghorst, if you didn't hear what I said at the start of the video, Weghorst has trained today. I mean, whether that's exciting to you or not, I don't know. And for me, it's logical. You know, he signed for us on Friday. He's training today. I don't know what to do with that, really. He's training. It's completely logical that he would be. Suffice to say, there's a very big chance that he'll start against Crystal Palace, because there is very big concern around Anthony Martial. Now, as I said, this is a bit of an untested source for us on the United stand. It's certainly not the same source who told us last week that Martial didn't train on Monday. And a lot of people said, you're talking nonsense. Ten Hag said he's been rested for the game against Charlton. Yeah, he didn't train Monday, he didn't play Tuesday, he didn't train Wednesday, he didn't train Thursday. So that information was correct, and it was from somebody very good who also told us on the last game of the season that Ronaldo was out and no one else knew it. So that was good information. This is a bit all over the place, so I'm not 100% about this. But story is, and I think what we know is, and then I'll tell you what we've been told today. So what we know is that Martial didn't train last week at all, and he trained on Friday. The expectation was that he would only play about an hour against Man City, and he may be on the bench anyway. He starts the game, he comes off at half-time. There's a feeling that he was only ever going to play 45 minutes. Actually, I think Ten Hag was looking to play him for about an hour. He comes off at half-time because he feels something. Now, that could be the same thing that he's had a problem with all week. I don't know what the injury is, and we may not know what the injury is. But the information we've had today is that there is major concern that Martial will play no part in Crystal Palace or the Arsenal game. So we play Crystal Palace on Wednesday and Arsenal a week today. The feeling is that Martial's injury is a reoccurrence or a new injury, and knowing Martial's history, there's real concern that, you know, it might be longer than a week, but the feeling is that he will not play against Crystal Palace or Arsenal, which is obviously very, very disappointing, because even with Weghorst coming in as an option, which he is, you want him to be an option. You don't want him to be the only option. United and Arsenal can win the title. Why the owners being so tight, says Zayn Miassi. And Mark, I honestly think our board and recruitment department are lazy. Lazy is the word. Lazy to work to get players. Intellectual lazy to negotiate deals, says Ola. Interesting. So, yeah, Jay says Martial's a letdown. Look, I'm a massive fan of Martial, and I think Erik ten Hag is a massive fan of Martial. And I'm not here to talk about it's not my opinion here. I'm going to talk about De Gea, and that's my opinion in a minute. But when I talk about Martial, it's Erik ten Hag who says the game changed when he came off because we couldn't defend from the front. It was Erik ten Hag after the game last weekend who said that Martial does so much for the team in the way we set up and the running off the ball and the link-up play. He's a very important player. And it's devastating really for the player, and it's devastating for Ten Hag because they just can't get him fit. They can't get him fit. He's tried since the World Cup, Ten Hag, to protect him. He's took him off in every game since Christmas for about, an hour, 70 minutes. He's been managing his game time, and he's still got injured from nothing. The trouble with Martial is he doesn't get injured because of a bad tackle like Rashford, or because he overstretches. He just picks up these injuries that are basically, and Martial said it himself in the interview, it's probably because he got played with injuries in his early 20s by Solskjaer, and it's probably messed him up. Because that's what happens. You have to not play players who are young with injuries because you'll damage their career for the rest of their career. Now, I'm not blaming Solskjaer for it. Martial may be an injury-prone player, but I don't really take any pleasure in doing this. But contextually, it will show you the problem with Martial. If I read out to you his injury record over the last year, it's almost like writing a book. He had a back injury in October, an Achilles injury in August, a hamstring injury in July, a muscle injury in February, a knee injury last December, a knee injury the March before that. It's just relentless, and that's not including what this one is. So, would it make sense to try for a loan deal for a midfielder from a mid-table club in Spain or Germany, says Stephen? Well, they are options, as I say. Another option is Man United could pick players from the youth academy, says Omar. I think that's a massive risk, mate. I do. I don't think you can just chuck a young player in going, this is going to be as good as Casemiro. The next transfer, we need at least 2 midfielders and a striker. If Osman is possible, I'll go for Son. Can play false 9, fast, quick, says Desiree. So, yeah, it's just sticking with Martial. It's a problem. Well, we just have to see what happens. I mean, to be honest with you, I do have concerns about how reliable that information is that we've had today. But actually, when you think about it logically, is Martial really going to play against Crystal Palace if he came off at half-time yesterday with an injury and he'd been injured for the week before? Probably not, is it? Let's be honest, probably not. And look, the only thing that sticks in my head about Martial is he came off yesterday injured. He'd been injured the week before. The only thing that's in my head is, how long is he going to be injured for? Is it a few days or is it a few weeks? And he's injured, isn't he? He's injured. We know that. But how long is he going to be out for? And if he is out for a few days or a few weeks, it doesn't really matter. If I'm somebody in power at United, I'm speaking to Erik ten Hag and I'm saying, we need to get a striker in, don't we? I know we've got your Weghorst, but you need another one, don't you? And Ten Hag will be like, yeah, right, okay, we've got 2 weeks, let's sort something out. That's what a football club does, because it doesn't matter whether Martial's out for a few days or a few weeks. There's another one coming. It's going to happen again when he comes back. He can't stay fit for, I know he's been fit since the end of October, but 2 months of that was a World Cup. Like, competitive games, if you take that from Forest on December the 27th to now, he's not been fit for 3 weeks this season. well, he's going to have an injury every month then, isn't he? Mr. 1972 says, any news on Greenwood? Would he be training somewhere or is his career done? He's in court, I think, in November this year. So, yeah, he's not really anything to discuss about Manchester United at the moment. Do you think Man United will give Martial a new deal? I don't think anyone would buy Martial. So people say sell Martial. I don't think anyone would buy him. He's our problem to solve. And that's always been the case for a long time. Even if you're looking to sell him, look at Phil Jones. People say, let's sell Phil Jones. And how do you sell Phil Jones when he can't stay fit? You've got to get him fit before you sell them. We can't sell Martial because we can't keep him fit. And the sad thing about Martial is when he's fit, he's a first team player for me. I start him. I think Ten Hag starts him. So that's the dilemma. You just can't keep him fit. He may well be a player that's injury prone for the rest of his career. We might have to end up writing that off. That's a long way down the road. But in the context of now and the context of this season, it worries me that we're going to play Palace away and Arsenal away. 2 games that, look, forget the title for a minute. 2 games we need to get points in because of the top 4 race. We can't leave the door open. We're in a strong position. We can't leave that door open. At the very minimum, we're going to have to try something new. Weghorst has never played for us again. You could put Rashford through the middle. But if we haven't got Martial, we're going to have to try something new. And I'll tell you for free, next Sunday against Arsenal, they'll have 60% possession minimum. So we better have a bloody plan. Because if it's like that first 20 minutes against City in the second half, we'll struggle away. You get away with it at home because you've got the crowd behind you. So, look, I worry about this Martial injury. I know there's people in the chat just saying he's shit, this, that and the other, but genuinely I don't think he is. And genuinely, what's the alternative? And if Weghorst is the alternative, what about if he plays crap or gets injured? What's the alternative? The Glazers won't spend a penny more in January as they no longer care about the club's position or future, says Div. Thank you very much for your super chat there, Div. What's wrong with Sancho? Have you been living under a rock? Do you not know what's wrong with Sancho, mate? He's not been training with the first team for 3 months. Look, hopefully Jadon's on the way back. We really do need him. But it's... The last thing you want to do is put pressure on Jadon Sancho. And he's not a striker anyway. Hope we can sign Osman. But yeah, Glazer's out, says Owain. Thank you very much for your super chat there. I've got to talk to you about this. This may be of interest to some people. It may not. So when I was doing my player rate, my player ratings seem to get the most out of context clips. And I like that in one way and then I don't, because actually when they take a pop at me, they're taking a pop at you because you all vote on the player ratings. So if I give, let's say I give Aaron Wan-Bissaka a 6. I didn't. And everyone's like, oh, we should have given him a 7 and it gets clipped up. It will say 6 for me, but it might say 6.1 for you. So they're having a pop at you anyway. But anyway, yesterday I gave David De Gea, I think I gave David De Gea a 6.5. And I said, look, never did anything wrong. Couldn't do anything about the goal. And I thought his distribution was good. Oh, I got clipped again. Oh, his distribution was good. I can show you a stat about how many misplaced long balls he hit. And I was like, even Beth messaged me saying, you're getting some shit about his distribution. And I was like, we just won the derby. We just won the derby 2-1. And there are United fans doing clips of David De Gea. I mean, and it's Saturday night. Get out. Enjoy your life. What are you doing? You don't work for Manchester United. You're not a scout. You're not a tactical analyst. You live in a house and you're doing clips of David De Gea because you want appreciation from some people on Twitter. You don't even know who they are. Like, what are you doing? And I then get attached to that because I said that distribution from De Gea was great. You're not going to change my mind. You're not going to change my mind. So what are you trying to do? You're trying to tag me in so people go, Goldbridge is a fucking idiot. Ain't got a clue what he's on about. He's clueless. He knows nothing about football. Okay, well, I do quite well for not knowing anything about football, but that's not really my angle anyway. I don't pretend I'm a scout. It's all about interaction and community with me. But you're not going to change my mind anyway. I'm not going to read your shitty little tweet that's abusive anyway and go, you know what, I'm wrong. I'm wrong. David De Gea isn't a massive influence on this team with a huge influence in the dressing room and a leader. he's just a shit footballer. I'm not going to do that. And I'm certainly not going to do it when we beat Man City. So I don't really get this mentality that's sort of blossomed in the fan base over the last 10 years, where even if you have a good result, you can still hate a player. We've seen it a little bit with Martial. And the De Gea thing, I just find baffling. We've got one of the best defences in the league. He's massively improved under Erik ten Hag on his weaker areas and still remains one of the best shot stoppers in the world. And I just do not get it. And I just do not think, what year did these people drop out their mum's chuff? Because it must be recent. Like, have they got no idea about the football club they profess to support? They'll spend ages on Stats Bomb, finding out passing stats, but they won't spend any time on Wikipedia looking at the club's history. And what I mean by that is, Peter Schmeichel was a fantastic goalkeeper at Manchester United. And when he left, we spent years trying to find goalkeepers to fill the void. We bought a World Cup winning goalkeeper in Barthez. We bought a very good Premier League goalkeeper in Bosnich. Nothing worked. And then we stumbled on Van der Sar, and he was fantastic. And then Van der Sar left, and then we got David De Gea as a young goalkeeper, and we've had him for the last decade. And David De Gea knows everything about Manchester United. He knows the pressures. He knows how to deal with a mistake. He knows how to deal with being bombarded. He knows how to win trophies. He knows the whole club. And these prats who spend time basically bullying David De Gea because they think we need a new goalkeeper. They actually think a new goalkeeper is ahead of a midfielder. They think that our priority is a striker than a goalkeeper. What they don't do when they're analysing Stats Bomb, when they could be out having a good time, is you are not putting a price on the most important thing of all. David De Gea's influence on that team and that back four is huge. He's respected by everybody and gives everybody confidence. David De Gea's respect in the dressing room and within the club, he gives everybody confidence. And also, what I've newly christened, although you could use loads of names, I call it the Dubravka effect. The fact that playing in goal for Manchester United is not as simple as going, ooh, Sanchez at Brighton looks like he's better than De Gea. Ooh, Costa from Portugal looks like he's better than De Gea. Let's fuck De Gea off and bring them in. Because you know what happens? They put a Man United shirt on, they go on Old Trafford pitch, they sit there in front of 75,000 people, and they start playing like me in goal. They absolutely shit themselves. They go to kick a ball and miss it. They go to catch a ball and they drop it. It's called the pressure of playing at Old Trafford. And David De Gea has no pressure because he understands the role. But people think you can just change a goalkeeper. You cannot put a price on having a goalkeeper in their prime who knows the club like the back of their hand. And David De Gea is that. So if you're thinking, let's change that because you'd like a goalkeeper that can pinpoint a 50-yard pass, I find that stunning. I find that absolutely amazing. If Ten Hag decides to do it, I'll have a chat about it. But I absolutely don't think he will. I don't think this is a problem. I don't think it's more of a problem than needing another centre-back, another CDM, another midfielder, another striker, a right-back. It's not in my top 5. And ultimately, I saw Ederson kicking the ball out yesterday. I actually think if you know football, the way we played yesterday against Man City, David De Gea was told not to pass out from the back. He was told to get rid of it. Because we weren't playing a style of football yesterday that was built on passing out from the back. We were playing a style of football that was based on breaking quickly and trying to create chances and taking the pressure off. So I think that probably came from the training ground, to actually kick it long a lot, because it was completely contrast to how we've been playing the last few weeks against teams we'd expect to win. So I actually think it was part of the tactics. I like Martial, but he's the type of player who is too good to leave on the bench, but not reliable enough to make a part of Erik ten Hag's long-term plans, says Stephen. I think that's an intelligent analysis of Anthony Martial, because I think if he did stay fit and he was on the bench, he'd want to leave. So, yeah, look, we've spent time talking about Martial. My major concern about Martial is that I think he's going to spend a lot of this season potentially injured. And I watched Arsenal today, and I hope this won't happen, but I watched Arsenal today and I thought, at the Emirates next week, if our front three is Weghorst, Rashford and Anthony, is that going to cause Arsenal's back four problems? And I thought, who's at right back for Arsenal? Maybe Rashford will. Because Zinchenko's very good. Saliba and Gabriel are very good. And I thought, where are these goals going to come from? And then, if it's not working, what do you do to change it? So if Weghorst isn't working and Martial's not fit, what do you do to change it? All right, you put Rashford through the middle. Rashford's only good if you're going to hit it long over the top. I don't think Saliba and Gabriel are going to get done by that, and Ramsdale's very quick off his line. So I was thinking about that today. I was like, if Martial's not available for the Arsenal game, we are a little bit stuck in the front three. That doesn't mean we can't get a result, but I think it'd be tough. But look, hopefully we can try some things out against Palace. I mean, hopefully Martial will be back for the Palace game and then able to play against Arsenal. But I wouldn't bet my life on it. Maguire for number 9. Well, that's always an option. I'm praying Martial is available for Arsenal, says just Kevin. Yeah. Martial was awful against City, says Peter. I mean, look, Peter, welcome to the world. I'm not saying you've just been born, but welcome to the world. You just had an opinion. But look, who are you talking to, Peter? Because you said Martial was awful against Man City. Fine. Well done. There was a blue tick journalist who follows Man United who completely agrees with you, right? But Erik ten Hag doesn't. Erik ten Hag said after the game, when Martial came off, he had to come off because of an injury. It completely threw us, and we didn't defend well from the front when Martial came off, and we didn't get hold of the ball as the way we were in the first half, and it set us back for 20 minutes, and it did. So you can say it was rubbish, but actually we were better in the first half than the second half. And people will say, we scored 2 goals, Mark. But the second half was weird. We won, but it was weird. I think the first half, as a team, we were better. We would not have conceded that goal in the first half. We wouldn't have conceded that goal in the first half because we defended well from the front. And if you watch that first half like I have, we were so organised. City couldn't do anything. I think the only 2 chances City had in the first half was a speculative cross to the back post where Wan-Bissaka got caught under it again and a Foden headed it over. And then a deflection that fell to Haaland, who for some reason was unmarked. And that was it. So I don't think Martial played bad yesterday. I don't think he played bad. I agree with Ten Hag. We need to take advantage of the fact that Arsenal don't have Jesus, says Will. And Jesus was causing problems for us last time, says Ibrahim. Yeah, look, that's another. I mean, I don't want to preview Arsenal. I do not want to preview Arsenal. We've got to play Crystal Palace first. But in the context of that, you can flip that around. Nketiah is not very good, in my opinion. He'll score a hat-trick against us now. But he's not Jesus. So, yesterday, Luke Shaw and Varane are absolutely focused and dealt with one of the best strikers, if not the best striker in the world. Next week, it's not as hard a job. But I agree with just Kevin. I think Palace will be tough. I know they've lost a lot of games recently, but they're underachieving, Palace. They're a better team than their results play. And I think that I've seen a few United fans, and it's almost like beating Palace at Selhurst Park is a foregone conclusion. And I'm like, yeah, I can see us going there. I can see Casemiro being world class again. I can see Rashford scoring a couple of goals, and I can see a clean sheet, and that's a win. But I agree with Dougie. It won't be a walk in the park. John thinks it will. He says, I think we're going to hammer Palace. Just going to put that out there. Someone who's going to be on the end of a hammering from us, and I think it might be them. I hope so. It'd be nice to take that into the Arsenal game. I certainly don't think this is the week to rotate. I think we've seen a lot of rotation since Christmas. We've seen Lindelof and Maguire playing sometimes. We've seen Maguire and Varane. We've seen all sorts of rotation in the team. I don't think we can rotate this week. I think Palace, you've got to go strong. It's a Wednesday night. We played Saturday lunchtime. Saturday to Wednesday is quite a good break. Go strong. And then Wednesday to Sunday is quite a good break. Go strong. Forest, Carabao, you could make a few changes there. Reading, FA Cup, you can make a few changes there. So, yeah, I think the next 2 games go as strong as you can. Strong as you can. I don't think we need to rest Casemiro, Marvin. Although, I know what Marvin's talking about. Casemiro is on a yellow card, so Yeah, I know what you're on about. It's funny actually because Arsenal were in that position today. Saliba and Saka, if they'd been yellow carded, they wouldn't have been able to play against Man United. Neither got a yellow card. Casemiro gets a yellow card against Palace, and he can't play against Arsenal. But of course, Saka is a winger. Casemiro is a CDM. And he does all the defensive work. So you can't say to Casemiro, don't make tackles in a game, because there might be a situation where, I don't know, Palace breakaway, Casemiro's got a 50-50 to try and stop the breakaway. He's got to go for it. He catches him late. It's a yellow card. So I think if Casemiro's out for the Arsenal game, we've got a problem. But I don't think we can. I mean, the problem is, don't play. What if you don't play Casemiro against Palace and you draw, and then you play Casemiro against Arsenal and they're brilliant and you lose? You've got 1 point from 6. What if you play Casemiro against Palace and you win, but he gets the yellow card, and then you lose to Arsenal? You've got 3 points from 6. So you've got to, that's how Ten Hag will think. He'll be like, I can't rest Casemiro because he might not be able to play against Arsenal. I need to beat Chelsea. Beating Arsenal is about trying to get in a title race. Beating Palace is about solidifying top 4. You've got to go and beat Palace, especially because we beat Man City. If we beat Palace, we've got 6 points from 9. 6 points from 9 isn't too bad. 7 points from 9 is fantastic. 9 is unbelievable. But look, I would agree. If we haven't got Casemiro against Arsenal, I don't think we've got a chance. But if you don't play Casemiro against Palace, I think that gives Palace a massive chance. Now that Mudryk has gone to Chelsea, do you think we should go for the second Shakhtar Donetsk striker, Nator, says Rahul? And you could apply the same tactic from the City game against Arsenal. Let Fred deal with Odegaard and Malacia with Saka, says Fred's Flintstones. I think we'll see a very similar. Kyle says, seriously, Maguire CDM in front of a back 4. Kyle, NFL's on. That might be more of your thing, because I'm telling you now, football's not for you. Harry Maguire as a CDM. I've never heard such shit in all my life. That has to be the worst football opinion I've ever heard. Harry Maguire as a centre defensive midfielder. Well, I'm speechless. Kyle, I really think not just 2023, not just the decade. I think that's the worst football opinion I've ever heard. And you put seriously ahead of it. You don't put seriously in front of something when you're doing a joke. Harry Maguire as a centre defensive midfielder. That is the worst football opinion I've ever heard. That is absolutely terrible. Yeah, I wouldn't watch football anymore. I'd try something else. That's or the thought of it is making me feel queasy. No. It just no. As a last 5 minute striker to get on the end of headers, fine. But as a CDM to take the ball off the back 4, to be tenacious, to read the game, no. And look, I'm not just picking on Maguire there. That would be like putting Marcus Rashford as a CDM. Like, there are certain players that just do not work in certain places. Next question. Exactly, Jan. Yeah, next question. Although my first choice, you could put Martinez as a CDM if Casemiro is not available and play Shaw as a centre-back. You know what, Stephen? At least we've gone to a good opinion there. I know it's a fan theory, but I wouldn't mind seeing Martinez play as a CDM. I definitely think he could do it. He can read the game, he can carry the ball, he can pass the ball, he can tackle. I don't know whether we'll ever see it. Kyle says it's going to happen. I don't know whether we're ever going to see it, but I wouldn't mind seeing. I've been doing this for years. I've seen people say Wan-Bissaka as a centre back. I've seen Lindelof as a CDM. I've now seen Maguire as a CDM. I've seen Sancho as a 10. And whilst I sort of see where people are going, I don't think they're logically ever going to happen. But Martinez has played there before, but he's never done it in a Man United shirt. Would he do it? He's played there before, as everyone said, but he's not done it in a Man United shirt. We don't know whether Ten Hag would do it. I wouldn't mind seeing him do it. I wouldn't mind seeing Martinez play some CDM, says G-Man. No, I'm with you. I wouldn't mind seeing it happen. And I'd certainly, say Casemiro got suspended for the Arsenal game. I'd much rather see Martinez play CDM and Luke Shaw play left centre-back and Malacia play left-back than see Luke Shaw at left-back, Martinez left centre-back and McTominay there. And that's nothing against McTominay, but McTominay's no good as a CDM, and Martinez knows how to drop in between the centre-backs, knows how to take the ball off the back four. I'd love it. I'd love to see it happen, and it would be great if that was the next step. We've seen Luke Shaw become a left centre-back. Imagine if we saw Martinez become a CDM as well. That would be really good, because it would solve a problem that we have without bringing anybody in. But we haven't seen it happen yet, so it's hard to say, but I'd like to see it. And Lynn says I'd like to see it as well. You've got to have a replacement for Casemiro. And just to sort of praise Ten Hag a little bit, moving Luke Shaw to left centre-back has been fantastic from Luke Shaw, but you've got to have a coach to motivate you and make you do it and talk you through it. And we've never really seen Luke Shaw play as a left centre-back in a back four. We've seen him play as a left centre-back in a back five. Very, very different job, and Luke Shaw acknowledged it himself. But you know what that was all about? And the reason Martinez could play at CDM is because he's done it before, but also because it's logical, is that when Martinez came back from the World Cup, and look, there's a story there. There is a story there that we don't really need to dwell on, but we can do now. That's a Manchester derby, and Martinez is fit, and he's on the bench for Luke Shaw. Why? Because Martinez, for whatever reason, in Ten Hag's head, is not the player he was before the World Cup. Now, is that because he's been partying for 2 weeks and he's lost his fitness? Is that because Ten Hag thinks Luke Shaw's better than him at the moment? Look, Martinez was brilliant for Man United before the World Cup, and I'm sure he'll be brilliant for Man United over the next few weeks. But Ten Hag chose to bench Martinez for Luke Shaw. The reason for that is I think Martinez's fitness levels aren't where Ten Hag wants them to be, and he trusted Luke Shaw more yesterday, and he was right. But the reason Luke Shaw's been playing at left centre-back when Harry Maguire and Victor Lindelof have been fit is because Ten Hag went for Luke Shaw at left centre-back because he's closer to Martinez than Luke Shaw, than Maguire and Lindelof. Maguire and Lindelof are right-footed centre-backs, and Luke Shaw is a left-footer. And he went for balance, and he basically has seen that Luke Shaw is closer to Martinez than any of his other centre-backs, and that's why Luke Shaw is left-side centre-back. So if he sees that with Casemiro and goes, there's a player in my team who's a right-back or a centre-back or whatever, and they're closer to Casemiro than McTominay, then maybe he will do that. And I would like to see it, because what we need to have is continuity within the team. And that's why we're not going to see Rashford at right back, Sully. That's why I loved the Luke Shaw thing, because it was weird when he first did it, but then it was so logical. He's trying to replicate Martinez and Varane, and he can't do it with Lindelof or Maguire. But he can do it with Luke Shaw, because actually Luke Shaw and Martinez, both good in the air, both physical, both quick, both left-footed, and both good passers, and both good at carrying the ball. They're not identical, but they're very similar. And suddenly his back four can be very similar with or without Martinez. So if you can find somebody who can do that job at CDM, then, ideally it's a loan deal from somebody. But if it's not a loan deal, you bring somebody in, don't you? Let's first win against Palace, then Arsenal later, says Juma. Luke Shaw has the build of a centre-back, says Giovanni. And hopefully this is the Glazers' last transfer window, says Anthony. Well, I think it's going to be very interesting with Luke Shaw, because I think he's a sensational left-back. But what is his development as a future player? Is he going to be a centre back as he grows older, or not? I think that what I'm trying to say is I think for Luke Shaw, and it might not be at Man United, but I think for Luke Shaw, there's a career as a left-sided centre back. Season's now got a feeling of what could have been, says Michael Morris. No, we're not there yet, Michael. I know what you mean. I think it's a valid fear, and it's one that I've had since August. Call me negative, I just think it's real. I looked at the season, I looked at the World Cup, I looked at the squad, and I thought, a couple of injuries and this will all fall apart. I just hope we avoid those injuries. But I've got to say, so far, very disappointed with the January transfer window, because I think that, you know what, if you've had a kid, right, and they went for a trial at Manchester United and they did really, really well, and then they said, there's another trial next week, but my boots don't fit me, would you say to them, well, you just have to get on with what you got? Or would you buy them boots and give them the best opportunity they can? Every one of us are going to work overtime, take a loan or whatever, or just take the money out of our bank that we've got and buy them a new pair of boots that fit, so that they're the best they can be at that trial. And look, I wouldn't do that for a kid who was shit. I'd say you're wasting your time. Stop dreaming. You know, go and get a trial at bloody Kidderminster. But we're not talking about somebody who's shit. We're talking about a kid who's gone to Man United on trial, probably been the best player there, received really good feedback, and is going for the trial now to actually see if they get in. And they're saying to you, my boots are killing me, it's impacting how I'm going to play, can you just get me some new boots and I'll be the best I can be? And you're going to get them. But what United's board is doing in that situation for Ten Hag is they're going, no, get on with what you've got. Why would you do that? I don't get that. That's not football. That's weird. It's business. And that's the problem with United. Like, you have got Ten Hag and he needs a new pair of boots. And he's proved why he needs them. And you're going, no, get on with it. It's, you know, I know it's a bit... Well, it's actually spot on, isn't it? That is exactly what's going on here. Somebody who deserves to be rewarded and needs to be rewarded to succeed, and you've got the power to do it, and you've got the best interest of that person, apparently, you're going, no, you're not having that. That to me is just odd. That's what I mean. We're not a football club. We're a business under the Glazers, and we need to be a football club, because I guarantee you, whoever the new owner is, if we're ever in this situation again under the new owner, they will give the money, because they'll hopefully have football as the priority. I can't understand what that is, Farrow. It's just a set of words. Polina from Fulham. Well, we're not going to get him in January. Michael Morris says, season now. Yeah, I've done that one as well. Thank you very much. Shaw centre-back and Martinez as CDM, says Job. Slow Sports news there from Job. Any news on the sale of the club, Lewis? No. Well, actually, there is news on the sale of the club. We spoke about it last week. The news on the sale of the club is that we're not moving as quick as we would like. Apparently, the middle of February is when the deadline for the bids go in. So we're a month away from that, really. So I suspect that what we'll get over the next month is, this people like United, this people like United. But Mark, you are the scenario king. Very funny, says Stanley. I just like analogies, because I think they tell a story that's less technical sometimes, you know. And also, I think it's almost like explaining something for dummies, isn't it? Because people sometimes don't realise the situation that is happening in this January transfer window. And that one I told you about, the kid in the football boots, is true. Why would you not reward somebody? Why would you not give them the best chance to succeed? And maybe Arsenal can say the same if they don't get Arteta something. Maybe Newcastle could say the same. But, you know, he deserves to be rewarded. And you know what? As well, Delow's injured. Martial's injured. Van der Beek's out for the season. It's not like he's saying, I want more, which he should get anyway. I mean, look, get your heads around this, right? Imagine Van der Beek, Delow, Martial, everybody's fit. Even if the whole squad was fit, I still think Ten Hag would be right to say, where's my players in January? And then when United say, what do you mean? You go, well, hold on a minute. I only got the job in May. Old Ranić said you needed a whole new team. You think worst ever Premier League side ever. You can't just buy me 5 players in the summer and go, that's it. You know, it's obviously an ongoing thing. What we're doing in January. So, even if everybody was fit, he'd have a right to say, right, next stage, who's coming in January? But that's not the case. Martial's injured, Delow's injured, and Van der Beek's out for the season. So it's got even more of a case to go, well, come on, what are we doing then? And they're going, nothing. It's handbrake on, isn't it? Ten Hag is, he's in a race. He's in the Indy 500. He's at full pelt. He's going for the win. And he's got John Murtaugh or Richard Arnold as his co-pilot or whatever they call it, right? And he's like, right, nitro boost. And they're going, no, handbrake. This is why I don't understand why Garner was sold. He could have done a job this season, Leo J. They sold... You know why they sold Garner? Little bit about what we were talking about the other day. They sold Garner because they've got to start selling players. I don't think they really wanted to sell Garner, but they have to start selling players. They've got to start balancing the books. They've got to start bringing in revenue. So they sold Garner because he was the most valuable player they could sell. Yeah. Thank you very much, Stanny, for the super chat there. If we're going to get anybody in January, it's going to have to be cheap. There's no point talking about Casido, who will probably end up going to Chelsea, who I would very like. There's no point talking about a Trossard. There's no point talking about anybody that's going to cost any money, because it's very obvious that we're not going to spend any money on anybody, because the one position we should have spent money on was the striker, and we didn't. What do you think of Zidane Iqbal? Also, we need Emi Martinez in the club and get rid of David, says Akash. Oh, shut up. McTominay is world class, says Sleepy. Ahmad could be recalled, says Mad. I mean, there are options there. I mean, Laird, Mejbri, Ahmad, they could all be recalled. I just don't get the feeling that we want to do that. And ultimately, it would be desperate because they are doing very well on loan, and you're talking about development of them to stick them on the bench for us. I hope West Ham go down. Ben Rice, if you know what I mean, says Desiree. I still think Declan Rice goes to Chelsea though. Adam Cole says South American market. Mark, Adam, we need to be better with that, and I think Ten Hag wants us to be better with that, really. Andres Pereira, we could loan him. He's been sold, hasn't he? Yeah. 2-0 Barcelona versus Real Madrid. Barcelona are going to demolish Man United. Says Man. I mean, look, I'm looking forward to that Barcelona game, but you know what? It's probably not relevant to Manchester United, but I was watching Arsenal today, and we were doing the watch-along on That's Football, and I said, look, Arsenal have got a great chance of winning the league, and if they've got a great chance of winning the league, they've got to bin the Europa League off. And it's not for me to say, but you know, we've done it a few years. Thursday, Sunday is a killer from February, March and April. Arsenal could blow the league. They haven't got a big squad either. Arsenal could blow the league trying to do the Europa League as well. I'd bin it. I'd play the reserves. You get knocked out, you're out. I would do that 100% if I was Arsenal, because you've got a chance to win the Premier League. No one ever. You never thought you were going to do that. You might not get a chance again. Next year, Liverpool could be back. Man City could be stronger. Chelsea could be in the race. So, massive chance for Arsenal to win a Premier League title. Bin the Europa League off. Bin it off. Does that apply to us? Ten Hag's never going to do it. He never is going to do that. You know Ten Hag. He wants to win every game. But if Barcelona are better than us and they knock us out, is it a bad thing? I'm not even thinking about the Europa League. I'm thinking about Crystal Palace and I'm thinking about Arsenal. And then I'm thinking about the Carabao Cup semi-finals. I'm not even thinking about the Europa League. It will be here before we know it and I will enjoy it. But I'm not bothered about the Europa League at the moment. By the time the Europa League comes round, we might have lost to Arsenal and Palace, and title talk's out the window. Top four is, Europa League becomes quite attractive again. But that Barcelona game will be good, and it will take care of itself. And if we get knocked out by a better team than us, it's still a progression season. Is it really the end of the world? I'm not that fussed about the Barcelona game. I'm going to enjoy it when it comes round, and it'll be great. Old Trafford, new camp, brilliant. But hopefully, even if we go out to Barcelona, that'll help us get top four. And then 3 days later, we've got a Carabao Cup final if we beat Forest in the semi-finals. So it's not all bad. It's not all bad. I think we've got lots to go. We're spinning a lot of plates at the moment, and it's probably inevitable that at some point, some of those plates will crash down to the ground, but it's not necessarily the end of the world. Omkar says, if we manage to beat Palace and Arsenal, door open for City more than United, as they have a better squad and less cup games, says Omkar. And as well, we're in the Carabao Cup, we're in the FA Cup, we're in a race for the top four, maybe some people might think a title, and we're in the Europa League. It's not a quadruple. I want to be very clear about that. It's a crapruple, really. It's not a quadruple, but it's the same as that in the squad required to do it. Nobody's won a quadruple. Nobody's done it. And anybody who's tried to do it, Liverpool were close-ish last year, Man City have been close. Fantastic team, from 1 to 11 and then a good bench. We haven't got that. We haven't got a good bench, and we haven't got a... Well, I think we have got a good team, to be fair, from 1 to 11. It might not be fantastic, but I think we have got a good team. But I don't think we've got a good bench. So we're not gonna get top 4, win the Europa League, win the Carabao Cup, and win the FA Cup. We're not gonna do it. I'd love to do it. But that'd be a very weird season review DVD if they still do those. Carabao Cup, FA Cup, Europa League, and top 4. I mean, there's no Premier League and there's no Champions League there, but it would be a very, very good season. But I think you've got to have the squad to do that, regardless of whether it's the A-star quadruple or what we're trying to do. De Jong must suffer, so we have to demolish them, says Beirut. I think, look, Barcelona's a long way off. It's on the horizon. Let's look forward to it. But who's going to be fit in that game? They could get a few injuries. We could get a few injuries. It's not just Man United who risk injuries and season problems. Bruno Guimaraes got injured for Newcastle today. Everyone else is in the same boat. And look, Newcastle, they're not in Europe. They get, Newcastle are in a good position. They've still lost Bruno Guimaraes, who, surprise, surprise, has played a lot of football for Newcastle from August, went to the World Cup, played a lot for Newcastle since the World Cup. Oh, he's got injured. So Barcelona could have that. Barcelona have got players who are like that. It's not just Man United who could be impacted by injuries. So the interesting thing, like just Keevan said, is will Newcastle react to a big injury like that? Marvin says Newcastle have got some injury-prone players. I'm very interested if it's true, and we've got Fabrizio on the show tomorrow, so we'll be able to ask him. If it's true that Man United are not going to bring any more players in, I'd probably look at the transfer window right now and go, apart from Chelsea, none of our rivals have really done anything. Liverpool have brought Gakpo in, but their problem's midfield. The interesting thing is, if we don't do anything, that's okay-ish if no one else does something. But what if Spurs do stuff? What if Newcastle do stuff? That's got to be a concern as well, because there's still 2 weeks of this transfer window left. In fact, I think it's 2.5 weeks, isn't it? Smurfin loves the idea of Harry Maguire as a centre defensive midfielder. Yeah, okay. Man United don't need City winning the title again. I would rather Arsenal win the title than Man City. Yeah. It's a hard thing to say. I was watching Arsenal today thinking, come on Spurs, but it would... it's got to... I mean, if Man City win the league, it's 3 in a row. That breaks our record, doesn't it? Well, it equals our record. You don't want people doing that. You don't need people like that. Topping the Europa League group would have stopped us playing Barcelona. It's an extra 2 games we don't need, but that's why we're playing Palace on Wednesday. Get it out of the way, get the points in. Joe Hugel for the first team. Don't think Hugel or McNeil are ready, to be honest. I'd love it if they were, but I don't think they're ready from what I've heard, but we'll see. Khalid says that Bowley's confirmed he doesn't want Declan Rice. I mean, that's not good for Chelsea then, is it? When your owner is confirming what players he does or doesn't want. I mean, it's not good for Potter, is it? Anyway, look, thanks everyone for watching. Return of the green screen for the first time in 2023. Well done. Will it be on the morning show? Probably not. But it's nice to have it as an option. Thanks everyone for watching. Make sure you smash a like on the video and subscribe. 10 o'clock show tomorrow morning as per usual. We've got Fabrizio on the show tomorrow as well. I think we've got Ben Foster on the show tomorrow as well. Probably do a preview for Palace tomorrow because we're playing on Wednesday night. It's on the TV, which is a positive. So, yeah, lots to get involved with. Thanks everyone for watching. Take care. What a weekend. What a weekend. It's been fantastic. Hopefully we can keep it going. Take care, everyone. Speak to you soon.